All right. So per pay period, say that again?
So depending on your years of service, it's a formula. So on January 1st, you have your carryover from last year,
Yep.
if you have any, plus you start your accrual for this year.
Yep.
And I can email you our language for the way it's calculated, but
we accrue. You don't get all of
you
your
don't get it all the first day. You accrue it.
I used to, I've been there as far as it's got to be accrued first. Yep. So you have it based on every pay?
Yes, because of pay. Because, and yeah, we let people go negative during the year, but I don't want to give everybody everything the first day, because if they quit January 2nd, I'm not paying them for that because they haven't earned it.
Yeah, and I have my payroll taken care of for me, so they earn vacation pay, and it just gets accrued in, and we just put it in escrow kind of thing. So it's there, it's on the books, but it's not taken yet.
Well, and in our case, it's not earned yet.
We could take it. We don't restrict people from taking vacation if they haven't earned it yet. So if I wanted to go on vacation the first week of the year, I could do so, even though I wouldn't have technically accrued all that vacation yet.
And then if she quit January 2nd, I could withhold, because everybody's salaried, I could withhold because she's taken
time that
she didn't earn.
Yeah. Okay.
And I can send you the language, from our manual, so you can kind of see it in writing.
Yeah, that'll help too, because then I can internalize it and just understand where you're going with this. Okay.
So how difficult is it from this perspective, from
the due this year be a calculation rather than a whole number, inputted number?
So everybody, that's a per period, they get a certain amount?
Correct.
Yes.
And it's every 2 weeks, every week, is it?
Bi-monthly, twice a month.
So on the 1st and the 15th or something like that?
15th and last day, yes.
Oh, the last day? Oh, that makes things a little bit trickier, because it's sometimes the 28th.
Could we do
you could do the 30th. That would be fine with me.
Yeah, even that, because sometimes it's the 28th or even sometimes the 29th, right? It's a little bit more difficult to do that because it's not always the same day at the end of the month. Could probably find a way to run some code to evaluate if this is
I guess we could do we could probably do the 1st and the 15th. We just have to, for this sake, I think we could do the 1st and the 15th. Everybody will be fine with it except for Debbie. And
because the 1st and the 15th, the 1st is the next day after the last day of the month.
Yeah.
Always.
Yep.
So you're running just
so
one
really
day behind.
It'd be the 1st and the 16th if we wanted to be totally correct and consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, whichever. It would just be a smidge more programming time, like probably 2 hours of programming time to write the code, test the code. And that's the only thing with that. It's more expensive that time.
So how is it already built?
Right now, there's no formula that calculates, the first day, 15th day. It's just.
Well, then I'd rather do it right.
Yeah.
And pay for it. Yeah, I'd rather do it right and do it the 15th and the last day.
Sure.
So, Cindy, can I ask you a question? Is this gonna link to? Because is this really even an issue? Because then we might have to do extra coding for you can go negative. My days can be negative technically.
Right.
So is this going to be linked to the system? So say someone quits, June 15th. Are you going to have to separately calculate all of that anyway?
My hope is hopefully not, because I have this. And the HRIS system we're looking at links to Salesforce. And so,
because you would at least be able to get off of this how many days have they've used, and then you would be able to get off just payroll. Payroll has to keep track of how many days we've accrued.
Correct.
So I'm just wondering if.
Well, and that's why I want to, and maybe that's why I said I would like to see the whole thing and kind of pick our battles.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so that's a
So let's
potential.
keep going, and I'll try to write down my questions and hold them.
Yeah, cool. All right, so that's how you're going to calculate in yours. It's going to be slightly different, so we're going to have to put that on the shelf as to, you know, how theirs is and how yours works. But we both have a basic understanding that there will be an accrual of days in some form or fashion where it is going to roll over from one year to the next, I believe, correct?
Yeah, we have a set number of days that can roll over.
Perfect. Okay, so in your manual, it'll spell all that out, so I'll be able to translate that over into the app. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, so then there's individual paid time off requests, right? So one can create one by clicking this button, and it has a pop-up. It's a new PTO request for myself for this year, and you go ahead and you choose your start date, so whatever that is. And if it's multi-day, as in more than today, that day, you click that, you choose an end date. And then in Abacus's org, they often have half days, and it's typically like at the end or the beginning. You can have it so that on your start date, you can do a PM, right? So the Friday afternoon, something like that kind of thing, right? Or on start date, oops, let's go back on the end date, you can have it on the AM, so Monday morning kind of thing. So you can extend a little bit. So that's why that's there. You also have,
I love that.
you have the type of request. So you'll have your different types. Let me just scroll down so you can see them all. Oh, that was all of them there. So other bereavement, exam, maternity, paternity, community service, and jury duty.
Can we other?
What's that?
Never mind.
I mean, we can make this look anything we want.
Yeah. Yep. And
there's, sorry, I'm going to ask you another question. Are we using this for something like conference days? That no, because it's not PTO.
That's not PTO.
That's just that's a separate all-day calendar event.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I'm going to want to study that pick, kind of think through that pick list.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Okay, keep going.
Kind of what we want to approve.
Yeah, and then if they want to describe, there's a little other. If it's other, it's got to have describe.
But I can see a lot of people saying.
I mean, I would look at our company handbook and say, what are the what do we give people time off for?
Right. And let me ask things like bereavement. Does that limit the days?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Because
look at this bereavement PTO calculation. 2.5 days minus 3, they get 3 days for a bereavement. So they're not using any days.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I like that. Can you go on that pick list just because I'm curious? Can you drop it down a second and go to exam prep? Yeah.
So these are all things that they were given.
So yes, we would want to compare the manual to this.
Yeah.
On that. Okay. So that's more of the manual I need to give you.
It's going to be interesting. Like we have different bereavement days for different types of relationships.
But do they have 2.5 days minus 1 community service? So it's 1.
So they're requesting 2.5 days. He's requesting 2.5 days on this request, and they
only get
one
community service.
He's using a day and a half of PTO, his personal PTO to do community service.
Yeah. So
jury duty, you're screwed.
Jury duty, you don't get anything.
That's
we get jury duty. Nicer than
here. Bethany just told me she's about to take her sabbatical. Did she used to have one? I don't know. I was like,
really? Okay, so that's that. Let's choose Scotty as my buddy here. And I'll do jury duty.
We don't need it at all.
What's that?
We don't need the PTO buddy at all.
Yeah, no, I know that. I heard about that.
Okay.
So that's me putting in a PTO request. I'm not set to get the approval, but do you guys have Salesforce approval processes?
No.
Okay, well, I'll just talk through it real quick because I don't get the approvals. It's not set to me. Basically what happens is you have several ways of looking at the approval. So you can look at the actual approval, like the data on the record, and it'll show up as an email to which you can just reply with approved. Straight up, that's all you would type, and then it sends back to Salesforce and it approves the record. Right? You can do the same thing.
Is that something you have to build? Or?
I think you turn on it. Pat, for the approval process, we don't use it for anything else, but it's something that's like already built in Salesforce. We just have to indicate who's approver of what, right? Yep. And kind of turn it on.
Yeah, it's a built-in feature set that you can just say, okay, here's the criteria, here's the person who's going to approve these things. It could be based on their manager, it could be based on a particular person.
So if you're Adrian, it goes to you. If it's, one thing we'll want to think about, and ask Mike, is even though he approves it, does he want him to continue to do that right email?
So basically, we want to mirror how you do it now.
Well, it's very poor. That's why I'm excited about this process.
Oh, okay. So we're going to enhance the process.
Absolutely. And can we do you designate just one approver? So, like, I have one employee who technically reports to me.
Yep.
But Mike has employees who report to him, but maybe he doesn't want to deal with these PTO requests. He wants his PTO request for his employees to go to Cindy. Does it, but for other reasons, I mean, we don't use it, so
we're not familiar with.
Maybe we would in the future, but if, we still want Mike to be indicated as these people's manager, approver, overseer in general.
Or maybe we have Mike as the approver, but the email still goes.
Can you designate different approvers for different actions, I guess is my question.
Yeah, so let me just go here. I'm looking up how it's set up on Abacus. Just moving some things out of the way.
Doesn't Charlie get them all for Abacus?
That's what I'm looking for. It could be set up that way. I'm just looking to see who is set up.
Because he would certainly not be everyone's direct manager, obviously. So I'm not sure if they have that structure built into here, but.
Set it. Oh yeah, Charlie is. He's the approver for everyone.
So you can. So then you can. Do they have it? Can you tell here? Do you happen to know if they use approvers for other aspects of their Salesforce?
Say that again, sorry?
Do they use approvers for other areas of Salesforce besides the PTO request?
That would take a little while to find out because in approval process.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, in this case, it's set up as Charlie. We can have multiple people. It can be set up as a related user to the current user. It could be set up as all sorts of different things. So that's that. He can also, I believe there's a way to reassign it to someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, here it is. He can also delegate this to someone else.
Okay.
So if he's out of the office, he can manually have someone look into it. You can have multiple people be able to approve it. You can have a queue, so a certain group of people can approve it. And then you can also let the submitter choose, but that's probably not a good idea.
Agreed. I will approve my own PTO. Thank you very much.
Yeah. But those are the options.
Okay. That's good. That looks good.
Yep.
Definitely work with that.
Check one quick thing here on that. And I'm fairly certain, just go back to it, in the related way, so a related user, just check. So yeah, we can set it up so that whoever the employee is, they can have their own references to who they are going to have approve it. So on the user record, you can designate who it is that's going to approve their PTO requests.
Okay.
That's one way of doing it, as opposed to one person every time.
So so Adrian would go to you, client services would go to Bob.
And that's that's when you make a PTO request, you can do that?
Or is that preset so it
It's preset for the user.
Perfect. Okay. I think that'll work. Yeah.
That's it's not built into the way it works right now, but it could be done. The only thing about that is when someone puts in a PTO request, it will assign their current selected PTO manager or PTO approver. If that changes after the PTO request, it won't subsequently change the PTO request approver.
That's fine.
Yeah, I figured as much because it's yeah. And then you're probably going to want someone who's like going to be able to see these PTO requests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that segues nice section of the app. So just to finish off there, these are 2 pending requests. An email will be sent out, and if you're using Salesforce One, the approver will get a notification on their Salesforce One app on their Android or iOS. And then someone can look at their own calendar. This is everybody, but if it was just mine and I was a regular user, I would just see my PTO requests in this calendar. Okay?
That's our calendar. So
Correct.
how does this calendar that we use all the time?
So which calendar do you use and which records does it display?
We use Zero Calendar.
Is that a Salesforce app?
I think so. Nah.
So Abacus has it go to iOS?
No. iOS is for the PTO record itself, so the approval of it. It's not the actual event of it. There's a difference between the two.
Okay.
Yeah,
So is PTO, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just to make clear, when those things that were showing up in the calendar, those are being synced into this. In other words, we're creating a duplicate event record, Salesforce event record. Okay, so that they can see it amongst all their other events, regardless of which type it is. Like they can have whatever else in there, but the point is we're putting in one for their PTO requests.
So can you scroll up to where?
So it does put them on it does put these events on the normal calendar, which is over there in the left-hand menu under calendar.
Let's go take a look. I'm not sure. They have a different app, I believe, for calendar now.
Yeah, this is what we use as well.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Zero Calendar?
Yep.
Okay. Will it be in here? Well, let's look at mine. Where's mine? He took me out. Well, let's take a look at his events.
Well, who?
I'm just going to go to Scotty's PTOs. Because right now, actually, I'm logged in as me, so I would see everybody's. Now, is there a typo in here? Sorry,
Well, just add him to the. That's Scotty Green.
Yeah. So I'm just looking to see what he's got over here.
Oh, like when he has vacation.
Yeah. So 6/16. So June. Let's go back to June month. 16. Yep, there it is here.
So it's somehow thing.
Yep. So while we create a Salesforce event, now if Zero Calendar displays Salesforce events, then yes, it's going to show up in Zero Calendar.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah, so the only thing you won't have is the brackets with the initials of the buddy.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 0 calendar, so that's a go. Then as far as like a person who's in a manager of, someone who's responsible for approving PTOs, then go to this last tab, which shows PTO yearly summary. And it'll show all the people in here. Okay, so this is someone who should be able to see everybody, not just who they approve, but everybody. Got it?
Yep.
And it's the same thing as before as far as which values, but then we can look at each of them for the person. So this Aaron Graham has 6 different PTOs, all the information, the status of it, the type, all the, all the details. And that's pretty much it. At the end of the year, at the beginning of the year, there is a process to create a rollover. So you select the year, and this is pretty nifty. Basically, this will only show the people who have yet to have the 2018 set up. So you can do, for whatever reason, you might have had someone missed, or you add someone and they had taken some vacation, but they weren't yet in Salesforce. There's all sorts of scenarios. Point is, you can put in individuals or all of them per year. Right, so I won't do that because it's not that time of the year, but it will roll over and do calculations and set up the next year's PTO or yearly summary for them.
So is that additional days granted, is that basically where the rollover days come from the previous year?
Perfectly honest, I don't recall.
Okay.
And there's a spelling mistake.
I'm a little bit confused about do this year. Is that?
I think that's when I do your offer letter and I say you get 20 days.
Yeah, the terminology changed. Scotty updated the table over here. It looks more plain English, whereas frozen days due this year. There's just, I don't even know what frozen days is.
This year they could have done a world of hurt with. If I say to you January 1st, you're due 15 days, you could say January 2nd, and you have to pay me because you told me I'm due 15 days. I'll just talk to Charlotte about that.
And what are frozen days?
They have days you cannot take off. I'm guessing that's.
But this is just a number.
Frozen days are added to the total. I'm not sure what they do. See, there's here 16, 15, 10 is 41.
Oh, 16 days. So, and then so it's additive. Look at that.
He has
30, 40 days. I wonder if that's when they get the sabbatical. That's where it's added in.
Oh, they can't use it. So yeah, but they're expected to come for some reason.
I don't know. I can't see us using that. If I don't know the term, I can't see us using it. I'll ask Charlie what frozen days are.
Because I don't know why but the thing is I'm imagining like you have
I can't come up with a
like I'm having a baby coming up and so I'm gonna expect, however many days off.
Right, but they had that as a drop down.
Right.
Maternity.
Right. Because he's oh, but they do. I was thinking like not doing it.
And that's when I thought frozen days, because I have certain days, like around quarter end that they cannot take off.
I'll ask.
So,
or the other thing, formulate for each year, and Charlie's got agreement. I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry to say about something that.
Yeah, no worries. So I think it's time to talk about next steps. I'll want to see the manual so I can translate, what the processes are.
Email that shortly.
Yeah, and then I may want to ask, what are these frozen days to get caught up as? What is that like? Do you even have a concept of what that could be? Because I don't recall. I was just told to add it, and so and it adds to the total days available. So do I need to
I
know?
feel like
Guys?
yeah, we're going to check with advocates, and I think it would also be useful to ask them. I almost wonder if it would be useful to ask, like, what? Well, frozen days use. Like, what is frozen days? What is days this do this year, and what is it? Like, what do those mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to remove buddy system, and we're going to add vacation accrual bi-monthly.
Yeah.
And first and last, 15th and last day of the month.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, that's not too bad. So those are the only changes. All right, so then basically get the manual, and then I can get back to you saying, okay, this is what I understand. This is how we can change it, and then you can let me know if there's any additional things based on your conversation with Abacus. But I think we're off to a good start.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay. When did you guys have an idea as to when you'd want to have this done by?
I mean, ideally, if we could roll it out by October 1st, because that's the beginning of a new quarter. But honestly, the only reason I want to do that is so we have some lead time, and then so for 2018, we're completely on it.
Yeah. October 1st is your quarter start or fiscal start?
Quarter start. Fiscal is January 1st.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right. So if it's October 1st, we come back from that like at 2 weeks just to make sure that anything that it was missed as far as like, oh, we didn't think about this, like us as a group, and it needs to be in there, that type of thing. Yeah, so that's plenty of time. Okay. All right, so I'd like to get you an estimate by the end of the week. So if you can get me that manual today with point out which page it's on, that'd be great. Yep.
Sounds good.
We can do that.
Great. Hey, Amber.
Yes.
Can we stay on the call?
Yes. Cindy's going to go get you things you need right now.
All right. Great talking to you, Cindy. Is she gone?
Okay, thanks, Pat. Like I said, I mailed your check today.
All right. Thank you. You still there, Amber?
Huge. Maybe.
Oh, but Abacus had a bigger one.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you made me a little bit nervous with your huge invoice because at first I was like, oh, it's probably a joke. And then I was like, maybe it's not a joke.
It wasn't an hour, a half an hour, forget. But I just always, no matter what it is. Yeah. Okay, so we've kind of stalled on the other two things that we were working on. So where are we at with that?
Well, so the one we're waiting for TD on, and I've sent him another follow-up email. I'm going to call him today because I sent a follow-up email. I know I told you calls were more successful, and they obviously are because I haven't gotten anything. So we're waiting on them to give us login credentials to whatever in the world we need login credentials to the API thing.
Yeah.
The other, with the file download, I know you sent me an email that was like your guy you were using, something happened to him, and now you can't do file download.
He literally AWOL. Like, I have another client who was using him for another project, and nope, like not even like I'm not even involved with it. He's just like, I haven't heard from him. You heard from him? No. It's super weird. Like now I'm thinking, no, like something's happened to the guy. Like
I was gonna say, is it confirmed that he's still alive?
Well, yeah, like that's like we laugh, we laugh about that, but that literally happened to me with another client like 2 months ago. Like I emailed it, hey, what's up? Da da da. His wife emailed me back. I was like, oh my god, like
Holy cow!
Yeah, like she just said, if there's anything that you need to resolve, like if there's any transactions or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not doing nothing with that. I'm like, oh, I said, no, everything's fine. It doesn't. Nobody owes me anything. So weird. So
That's
yeah.
crazy. So I don't know. I mean, the reason we solved is totally my fault, and I apologize. I just can't, I can't do all of this stuff at once, unfortunately. And we've talked about this internally, but it's not really, there's no solution to the problem. So the file download stuff, from our discussions, the file download stuff is actually going to be more useful to us. But if you can't, I mean, are you going to have the capabilities to do so in the future?
Yeah, we got to reset that as an opportunity for the main reason being, I don't have someone right now that I trust in that domain.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got people I can use, but I'm like, I got to think of a solution that I could rely on, that I can deliver. Like, there's only a few people that I know hands down will always do, and that's the people I have on staff. Because the guy I had, he was on retainer, so he's, you know, got some of my money, and I don't know where he is, but whatever.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a huge.
I hate scoundrels like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a big amount of money, but still. Yeah, so that's got to be reset. I got to think about that. But right now, I don't have a solution for that.
Okay. I mean, also, I owed you some things on that I never got you. So I would like to organize that information, regardless of kind of who's doing the work or when, because I think we had these conversations that are already getting stale in my mind, and I don't want to lose the time that we've already spent on this. So I'm going to pull together what I had told you I was going to get you, and I'll send it to you. And if, you know, I don't know, at this point, I don't know, we don't have anybody else who I know could do it. So I'll try to, by the end of this week, send you like sort of a summary, the information that you needed, the files that you asked for, and kind of what we had talked about. And then I'm going to talk to Cindy and see where we stand in terms of priority, overall firm priority. I know we want to do things like, one thing that's super important for us this year, and I don't know how this is getting done, quite frankly, but is to be able to invoice out of Salesforce. And in order to invoice out of Salesforce, we need account balances in Salesforce. And in order to get account balances in Salesforce, something like this file transfer to work. So that's a lot of work and a long way from now, but Cindy keeps saying it's supposed to be done by the end of this year, so I don't know. I don't know. But let me talk to her separately and figure out, tell her this is our problem. You don't have anybody that can do this right now. Like, do we want to go find somebody else? Because I also get nervous to start a new relationship with somebody that we don't know on a project that's kind of important.
Yeah. There are two that I can reach out to, as far as like other small, like guys set up like me, where I have me and my small staff, and where I would trust them. I would trust them to bring in and do that type of work. Let me reach out to those two folks.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's for it's TD, right? It's the what are they called again? It's not transfers. It's the transact. It's not.
They're like ethics. Well, they're just bringing in what we really.
We wanted.
The files bring in position, like account balance information is what we want.
It's positions. I remember that now.
Yeah, because we had talked about with TD, like the files that they give us, I think we're technically going to have to load positions and then price and do some like math, a little bit of math.
Yep.
I don't think it loads in like as here's your bank account number 123456 has a balance of $10,000. Like, I don't think it comes in like that. It comes in the two steps. We have to do some math with it, which is fine. Well, I'm saying that's fine. You do the work, but I think it's fine.
Yeah.
So we had talked about getting files from TD and then getting files from the other custodians that we use, because we do get these files regularly to load into our portfolio management system right now. So getting those files to load into Salesforce and getting the file from our portfolio management system, which contains like manually entered data, and put that into Salesforce as well. So
does this have to be done daily?
it would have to be done daily, yes.
Okay.
But what we had talked about, like because we do manually enter a lot of information into our portfolio management system, and so my client services manager, Vaughn, was asking, like, I know her concern was if we were going to have to manually enter the data into Salesforce as well, and I said absolutely, positively not. It takes a ton of time, and it takes one woman like 3/4 of her day to do this every day. So the only thing that we're interested in doing in Salesforce is pulling information from other sources and putting it into Salesforce. So that will either come from the custodians or ideally from the portfolio management system. And that's one of the things I think I had to look into. What does the file export look like from the portfolio management system that we could load into? So it's just going to be like what we talked about was like nothing, no active work besides maybe like saying, okay, it's ready, go, or something in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Just files that are pulled into somewhere, and then they're sent to our Salesforce, and then the information is transferred to Salesforce.
Yeah, so basically, we can set up an FTP somewhere, I know that much, and it's a matter of setting up Heroku as an app. That's the most likely solution, where Heroku looks at when folder or files come into specific folders, it performs specific, data massage so that it goes into Salesforce appropriately.
Yep.
For each of those files. So that, I remember, it's all coming back to me now. I remember that there was this discussion, how do we get those files to such FTP? Well, we can set up that FTP. It's just a matter of getting a resource that I could trust to do this. So
yeah.
I'll have to.
So I owe you. This is what I have in my notes, that I owe you the files that we receive already every day.
Yep.
And then I was going to talk to my our tech or IT group that we outsource to talk about setting up an FTP site, or you even mentioned using Google Drive.
Yeah, we can do those as well. Heroku can connect to most anything.
So would Heroku be an alternative to either of those things?
No, Heroku is where we run the app online. Like, it's an online app that just monitors the Google Drive or the FTP folder.
Okay.
For these new files that show up, so that it can process them and throw them into Salesforce.
Okay, got it. So I was going to ask our IT people about which of those sites would work better, which of those types of like data holders or whatever we want to call them would work better for ours.
Yep. That would, yeah. So let me get back to you by the end of the week on that one, because I only have 2 sources I would trust. I might go back to Squid and ask them to go back out to their network to see if they know anybody.
Okay.
Because they would have certain folks that they would trust as well.
Yeah. And then we want to what the data will eventually be used for, I think we should start talking about too, because I know you're talking about putting it in Squid, not even necessarily having it be entered as like record data in Salesforce.
Yeah, that's more for the current value, like the 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. or 1:30 p.m. That's for that kind of what's the current balance or the current status of these things.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll get live data.
I just want to make sure. Yeah, I just want to make sure what we intend to do with it, that all matches up. And I have no reason to believe it won't, but I obviously want to consider what our end use is going to be as we talk about how it's going to work.
Yeah, well, there's certainly going to be there's going to be times when they go and they see that it's not the same. Well, that's because between the time that the file was sent over for processing, since there's been a change.
Right.
Right. So whenever we get it, it'll process it, and then that could be 11:30 p.m., 1:30 a.m., whatever time it is. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is fine because that's when we talked about running the API calls. So there are things that we're going to want to use it for that'll be more need more up to the minute data.
Yep.
But that's when we can do a one-off API call when that request happens.
Correct.
So that'll work. I think like having it loaded daily is fine. Like we talk about, one of the things I know we're going to do with it is invoicing. So we need to know, in order to invoice people, which is based on the assets under management, we need to know what those assets under management are based on their account balances. So, but that doesn't, that needs to be snapshotted at the end of the quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't, having that information just daily, not up to date, like that's going to be one of the highest and best uses of this info. So that will work fine for that.
So the TD file transfer, and the other custodians, that's going to set you up for billing that you can send out from Salesforce. Do you have your solution for that yet?
No. That's it's something that we've talked about.
Yeah.
But we've never come up with
I don't think they do billing out of their Salesforce, but they use Conga Composer. You can, use that to create documents from data in Salesforce. So that's an avenue.
Right.
You have Conga Composer?
We do have Conga Composer, and I know Abacus does that. The thing that Scotty still hasn't figured out how to do yet, I think, calculating the invoices is an extremely manual process. I don't know why. And at our firm, I will tell you, it gets messed up all the time. So we send clients bills that are wrong all the time, which is obviously not a good problem to have.
No.
So from what I understand, what Scotty's doing is still generating his invoices in terms of the dollar value that should be on these invoices somewhere else, and then using Conga Composer to generate the template, the actual piece of paper that's either emailed or mailed to the client. So what we would like to do is actually have Salesforce generate the number as well as the piece of paper.
Yeah, well, if you're saying all you need is all the positions and the corresponding prices, and then you have it the specific amount on that specific day, I don't know, is it based on, I don't understand what it's based on, how much is in portfolio for the user or the person?
Yeah, mostly. So there's a lot. The problems come in because there's so many exceptions. So for example, we bill people based on their assets under management. So if you have $1 million with us, we manage $1 million for you, and we charge a 1% asset management fee annually. So quarterly it would be 0.25%. So that's a simple calculation. That's not a problem. However, we offer free fees, break points at certain points. So up to $2 million we charge 1%, up to $8 million we charge a different percent. Up to $10 million we charge a different percent, and over $10 million we charge a different percent. So maybe your portfolio is $1.5 million, but we also aggregate families. So say you have a brother who has $1 million with us. Your 1.5 and his 1 combined is 2. So that puts you at a different fee level than yourself. Oh,
I see. Yeah, okay, that's not too bad.
And then, so that's one kind of issue. Another issue is we charge one fee for assets under management. We charge a separate, much lower fee for something we call asset supervised. So when we say we manage your money, you have a brokerage account with us, we invest in stocks, bonds, everything. You also have a 401k account through your company that has very limited investment options. You can only choose between 20 funds. We'll manage that money for you. We'll incorporate it into your overall investment allocation, and we'll review it for you, and we'll recommend where you do. We're going to charge you a lot less money on that because your investment selection is much lower. So we just have to pick your funds for you. So we can't invest your portfolio the same, we can't invest your 401k the same way that we can invest your entire portfolio. So we charge a smaller percentage on asset supervised.
Got it.
So that's another kind of tweak.
So it's a different.
And there are several. The different buckets should be indicated, like in I believe this might not be entirely true, but what is supposed to happen is in Salesforce under the financial account level, we're supposed to indicate if a financial account is asset supervised or not. So that should be indicated, and it might not be right now, but if we were billing on it, we would obviously make sure that was correct. The other thing that comes into play is just like small individual agreements that we have with people. So say, for example, a client works at a company, is an executive there, they've gotten stock forever, they come in with a concentrated stock position of like, $5 million in their company. Well, sometimes clients are savvy enough to realize, like, I can't do anything with this. I'm coming to position. You can't trade in it. I literally cannot trade it. I have to hang on to it. So I don't want to pay you I don't want to pay you to manage this money. You're not doing anything with this money. It's $5 million. So they'll negotiate some like special arrangement where we charge less on it.
So it could be an override on specific amounts or on specific. Some of these things can have like exceptions.
Yeah.
And exceptions based on the individual. Like where is the exceptions put? Is it individual, the family unit, the stock? I think that.
It's mainly like it would be probably the family unit, I would say. But they're all specific. Like there's no those. So we have we technically have our invoice generation information in our portfolio management system. So in Portfolio Center, we have all of this invoicing structure built out. I don't think we actually do it. It's a more manual process, but we do have it built in there. Theoretically, there should be like, I don't know, 5 different types of billing portfolios. Like we bill this way. Here's maybe a couple exceptions that apply to a bunch of people. So there's like these 5 different types of ways we might apply a billing portfolio to somebody. That would be like maybe the way you would expect or the way that we should run our business. In reality, we have 300 clients and probably like 170 billing portfolios. So that's just an indication of how many exceptions we have. So as soon as there's a regular fee structure which we can apply to as many clients as possible. But then as soon as there's an exception, we create a new billing profile. So that profile is then applied to that individual or that family group. So
yeah, okay, I understand.
The problem. I mean, that's the challenge, not problem. Challenge.
Yeah, I mean it's just an override against the standard pricing.
Right.
Okay, it's not too bad. And any family unit can have a specific negotiated set of percentages for their general assets and 401k assets, like all that kind of stuff, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the exceptions aren't necessarily always based on the same thing. Like, for example, the example I gave you was a specific concentrated stock. So on this stock position, we're going to waive the fees, or we're going to charge a reduced fee. But for another client, maybe they have some money that they inherited that they're not allowed to touch.
Yeah.
So it's not a stock position. It's like a specific financial account or something.
Yeah. Likely what I would suggest is something like, okay, well, let's look at low-hanging fruit. What's going to get 100 of the clients right off the bat in one billing portfolio, and then what's the next most common, and then we're going to just create one other type that is called custom, that until we build out for it, it'll be called custom so that it's manually managed. Right. Because you're not going to build a custom set of functionality in Salesforce for one client. You know what I mean? Right. You're going to do it for like groups that it's going to save you time.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what I would suggest. Anywho, I got to cut you off because I got to get a bite to eat before my next meeting in like 20 minutes.
That's fine.
Sorry. But yeah, okay, so I got the document from Cindy, so I can review that for the
Okay.
PTO, and then I will call out to a few folks for the TD file transfer for well, not TD, but all the different custodians, so that we can see about automating the processing and uploading to Salesforce of those positions and prices.
Okay, and I will collect all of that data and those files that we said we get to you on that, you know, getting the account balances in, and send that to you, and then I'll follow up with TD about the API. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea how long it's going to take them to approve us, obviously.
Yeah, they're slow. That's all good. Okay.
Very slow.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Amber.
Well, thanks, Pat. Yep,
Yeah,
have
cheers.
a good one. Bye.